What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. The Carlos Correa to the Twins is official. The deal is 6 years, $200 million. That's guaranteed, and he has 4 vesting options. Could be worth up to $70 million if he gets a certain amount of plate appearances in each year, starting with year 6. So he could get up to 10 years and $270 million, but he's guaranteed 6 for $200. Going back to my reaction about as a Mets fan, I did want him. I am disappointed he will not be joining the Mets. That being said, I also understand why the Mets decided to call up a deal. They just felt this guy's not going to last 12 years, so they decided to offer him 6 for 157 and a half. And they said you can get another 6 for 157 and a half, which would have made it 12 for 315, the original deal, based on certain plate appearances and stuff like that. But he probably decided, he'll take the guaranteed 6 for 200, which is more original guarantee than the Mets originally gave him, and he'll take and he would rather and then he could still get up to 10 for 270, and then maybe he thought he had a better shot of getting up to the 10 for 270 that Minnesota offered than the in total 12 for 315 that the Mets are offering. So it is what it is. Mets still have a good team. They still got a good lineup. I wouldn't mind if they brought in another big bat. Not sure what's out there anymore, but I still think the Mets, although a World Series might not be in the cards this year, still should at least go a little further in the playoffs than they did last year. Even if it's only the division series, it's still something for a Mets franchise that ever since they went to the World Series in 2015. They, besides going to the wild card game in 2016, hadn't even been to the playoffs until this past season. So it's something if the Mets even get to the division series this year. Red Sox star second baseman Trevor Story out 4 to 6 months. He had elbow surgery on his throwing elbow. It's on his UCL. It is not Tommy John surgery, so he can return during the season. But so he's out probably at least 4 to 6 months. So we probably won't see him possibly until the summertime, possibly maybe even until after the All-Star break. We'll see what happens, but he's going to be out for a while. It's a tough offseason. They did lock up Rafael Devers, thankfully, gave him $330 million, but he also lost Alexander Bogaerts. And obviously, Shane Bloom has, you look at his tenure there, he traded away Mookie Betts for nothing, basically. Got Alec Verdugo, and then Gio Down they just cut, and then the other guy, Connor Wong, was never going to become of anything. You lost Bogaerts for nothing. Now, Story, he gave $140 million last year. Didn't have a great year last year. And this year, he might miss half the season. So, not going great in Boston right now for the Boston Red Sox. As for NHL scores from last night, you have the Kraken over the Sabres, 4-3. Being said, kudos to the Sabres. They're coming along. They've been playing well. They have a shot of getting into the postseason, possibly. Devils over the Hurricanes, 5-3. Red Wings over the Jets in a high-scoring game, 7-5. Rangers over the Wild, 4-3 in a shootout. We have the Penguins over the Canucks, 5-4. Penguins came back from down 3-0 in that game. They pulled their goal with Case to Smith after a period, and then Justin Tokarski stepped up, and the Penguins scored 5 unanswered goals. Lightning over the Blue Jackets, 6-3. Blue Jackets are awful, my God. Stars over the Islanders, 2-1 in a shootout. Blues over the Flames, 4-3 in overtime. Sharks over the Coyotes, 4-2. And then the Panthers over the Avalanche, 5-4. As for college basketball, yesterday when we went over the game, it was all like these SWAC teams. There was some actual good games on. Number 2, Kansas over Oklahoma, 79-75. Number 5, Tennessee over Vanderbilt, 77-68. Number 11, Kansas State over Oklahoma State, 65-57. Number 13, Virginia over North Carolina, 65-58. North Carolina has struggled this year. They are only 11-6. They entered the year as the number 1 team in the country. They are now unranked. They are 11-6. They have not won a road game yet this year. They're 0-4 on the road. They lose to Virginia, who is a good team still. UNC is struggling this year. Number 14, Iowa State over Texas Tech, 84-50. Michigan State over number 18, Wisconsin, 69-65. Number 21, Auburn over Ole Miss, 82-73. Then you had Number 23, San Diego State over Nevada, 74-65. In NBA, Sixers over the Pistons, 147-116. Sixers up 147 points. Wow. Embiid, 36 points, 11 boards. Heat over the Thunder, 112-111. Dream over 35 points, 7 rebounds. Heat were 40 of 40 for the free throw line. They made 40 straight free throws in the game. That's crazy. Raptors over the Hornets, 132-120. Pascal Siakam, 28 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Jazz over the Cavaliers, 116-114. To spoil Donovan Mitchell's return to Cleveland. He did have 46 points in the game now. Jordan Clarkson had 32 for Utah. Suns over the Warriors, 125-113. Mikal Bridges had 26 points and then 9 rebounds. That was Steph Curry's first game back after missing 11 games. Golden State continues to struggle. They are now just 20-21 on the year. Suns pick up one. They're struggling as well. They're just 500 right now. They're down Chris Paul. Last night, of course, you don't have Devin Booker. Haven't had him in a while. He's also out right now. Their offense had been awful. They hadn't scored more than 105 points or something like that, or 107 points in their 6-game losing streak, but they scored 125 last night over Golden State. Magic over the Trailblazers, 109-106. Franz Wagner had 29 points. And the Clippers over the Mavericks, 113-101. Kawhi Leonard had 33 points and 9 rebounds. Luka had 43, 11, and 7 in a loss. On to the NFL head coach and GM carousel. I'll include some coordinators as well. Arizona Cardinals, they're looking for a new head coach and the new GM. We haven't heard anybody who they plan to interview yet for the head coach position, but for the Arizona Cardinals GM position, here are the candidates. They are considering me doing an internal hire. Adrian Wilson, the vice president of pro personnel, who's been a top GM candidate for a while now. Their vice president of player personnel, Quentin Harris, is a candidate. Monty Ossenfort, the Titans director of player personnel. You have Ian Cunningham, who is the assistant GM with the Bears. Ron Carfin, the 49ers director of player personnel. You have Adam Pierce, the 49ers assistant GM. And then Jerry Reese, the former GM for the Giants, is a candidate. Most of these guys, I'm not too familiar with Quentin Harris or Ian Cunningham, but everyone else on the list is a top GM candidate. So there are some pretty good names on my list. Interesting to see if they give Jerry Reese a second opportunity. I didn't think he was great with the Giants. He had some bad draft pick. Took Eric Flowers, 9th overall. That didn't work. Took Eli Apple, 10th overall. That didn't work. Probably should draft the quarterback when Eli Manning was getting a little earlier than he did. He was better than the guy who replaced him, Dave Gettleman, but still, I didn't think he was great. By the way, Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator Dean Pease, he has announced retirement, so Falcons need a new D coordinator, and the Commanders have fired offensive coordinator Scott Turner. Players complained that the offense was very predictable. They kind of threw him under the bus a little bit. So he's gone. Ron Rivera's still there for now. You never know if he gets fired next day or two, but looks like he might be coming back. Carolina Panthers, their head coach search. These are the guys they plan to interview. Jim Caldwell, former head coach, mainly for the Lions, also coaching the Indianapolis. A guy who famously was fired despite being 4 games over 500 and took the Lions to the playoffs twice in 4 years, which is very impressive considering how bad the Lions are. Really should have never been fired. He did some interviews last year. He's getting a shot with Carolina right now. Steve Wilkes, their interim head coach, is going to be considered for a job, which I think is the right move. He did a pretty good job as the interim coach for them. The Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka is getting an interview. The Bills offensive coordinator, who I just mentioned on accident, Ken Dorsey, is also a candidate. Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Lions, who is a hot candidate. He did a really good job as the Lions offensive coordinator, and he is a hot name. Carolina plans to interview him. Shane Steichen, the Eagles offensive coordinator, as a candidate, as well as Frank Reich, former Colts head coach, who was 5 mid-season last year. This past season. Though I thought he did a good job there, I think he deserves a second chance. The Cleveland Browns are trying to look for a new defensive coordinator after firing Joe Woods, which was the right move. Their defense was not good this year. They are interviewing Steelers linebackers coach and, of course, former Dolphins head coach Brian Flores, who was controversially fired last year by the head coach of Miami. Well, 2 years ago, and then this year he was the Steelers linebackers coach. Browns are interviewing him. Gerard Mayo, the Patriots inside linebackers coach. Sean Desai, who is the assistant head coach for the defense for Seattle. Before that, he was the defensive coordinator for the Bears for a bit. And then you have the Titans senior defensive assistant Jim Schwartz, who at one point was the Lions head coach, and then after that, he had successful tenure as the defensive coordinator of the Eagles. So pretty four very good names for the Browns, who are looking for a new defensive coordinator. Denver Broncos head coach search. They are looking at the 49ers defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans, who I definitely think deserves a head coach stuff. He's done a great job. As the Niners D coordinator the last 2 years. Raheem Morris, the Rams D coordinator. He was interim coach in Atlanta a couple of years ago. Did okay. Didn't get the job full time and again getting it to Arthur Smith. But he's been the defensive coordinator for the Rams the last couple of years. Of course, Rams coaching staff is in a little bit of limbo with Sean McVay, thinking about resigning, maybe taking some time off. So they said they're letting their assistants look for other jobs. They will not block lateral moves. Of course, they can't block an assistant trying to get a head coach job, but if they want to, they can block an assistant from taking another assistant job, but they will not be doing that either, probably because they're thinking that McVay might be stepping away. Broncos is also looking at Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. Interviewed him last year as well. They're interviewing him yet again. Jim Harbaugh, head coach of Michigan, of course, at one point was in the NFL with the 49ers as a head coach. They interviewed him already. Sean Payton appears to be the favorite right now. That's who they want. They'll have to make a trade for him, obviously, but they do want him. They've talked to the Saints, and apparently Payton's their number one guy. No, their number two guy is Jim Harbaugh, so they're looking for a big name, and they're considering promoting their defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero to the head coach position. But Houston Texans, of course, their third head coach in 3 years. To put that in perspective, the Steelers have had 3 head coaches since 1969. Texans are only looking for their third head coach in the last 3 years. That's crazy. Looking at Lions, offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. 49ers D coordinator DeMeco Ryans. Eagles defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon, who's a hot name. The Broncos defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero, and the Eagles offensive coordinator Shane Steichen. Indianapolis Colts are looking for a new head coach. Their candidates are the Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator, who's a red hot name. The Rams D coordinator Raheem Morris, the Eagles offensive coordinator Shane Steichen, and the Broncos defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero. I'm not sure who their offensive coordinator is going to be, who they fired their old coordinator mid-season. I'm sure whoever the new head coach will pick that. Titans are looking for a new GM. The candidates are Quentin Harris, the Vice President of Player Personnel of Arizona, Malik Boyd, the Bills Senior Director of Pro Personnel, Glenn Cook, who is the Browns Assistant GM and their Vice President of Player Personnel, Ian Cunningham, the Bears Assistant GM, Ryan Cowden, who is the Titans Vice President of Player Personnel. They're considering promoting him. They're considering promoting Malti Osfor, who is their Director of Player Personnel, and then the 2 guys from the 49ers, Adam Pierce, their Assistant GM, and Ron Carfin, who's the Director of Player Personnel. They have not started their search for an offensive coordinator quite yet, nor have the Commanders for their new offensive coordinator. And so let's talk some NFL. I'm going to do my game picks for the wild card round. I'll start with the Saturday games at 4:30 on Saturday. Seahawks, 49ers. Niners have a 2 seed. Seahawks have a 7 seed. I'm taking the Niners. Brock Purdy's played really well. They got a loaded offense. They've gotten healthy now. They got Deebo Samuel back. Even Elijah Mitchell, the number 2 running back, is back. Seattle, kudos to Seattle for even getting into the playoff, but the 49ers are just too good and too deep. I'll take the Niners. Jaguars, Chargers, Saturday night at 8:15. By the way, the Niners Seahawks game is on Fox. Jaguars, Chargers will be on NBC. That game's in prime time. This should be a really good game. It's going to be really close, but I'm going to take the Chargers. You know, Mike Williams, who got nicked up in Week 18, should play in the game. Got Justin Herbert there. Their defense for the Chargers has played a lot better. Getting back Joey Bosa has helped. And Jacksonville, whose defense has been pretty good down the stretch, but they're also not the best in the world. They're facing a top offense, and their offense really struggled against the Titans. So I'll take the Chargers now on Sunday. At the 2-seeded Bills against the 7-seeded Dolphins. That's at 1 o'clock on CBS. Dolphins are expected to start Skylar Thompson. Tua has been ruled out. Bills shouldn't have a problem in that game. That game probably won't be that close, to be honest. I'll take the Bills. Sunday at 4:30, you got Vikings and Giants, the 3-6 matchup. That game's on Fox. This will also be a close game. Vikings won by a game-winning field goal a few weeks back over the Giants. I'll take the Vikings in a close one. Still not sure if I trust Aaron Jones in the playoff game. He's done pretty well considering all the injuries he's had, but I'm gonna take the Vikings, who I don't think will have a deep playoff run. I think they win one playoff game and then they lose next week in the divisional round. But I do think the Vikings beat the Giants. Sunday night, 8:15, Bengals, Ravens, a 3-6. NBC. If Lamar Jackson plays, I'm taking the Bengals. But if he does not play, I'm definitely still taking the Bengals, even more so. I don't think Lamar's going to play. He still hasn't practiced in over a month. He's missed 5 weeks. He knows he's getting paid, so he's probably taking an overcautious approach. Even, like I said, even if Lamar plays, I would still take the Bengals. For them, they'll have Tyler Huntley and not Anthony Brown like they had last week, I'm sure. But either way, I'm taking the Bengals no matter who's at quarterback for the Ravens. And Monday Night Football, 8:15 on ESPN. Bucks, Cowboys. Bucks, who crawled to 8-9, but won the division because the NFC South is awful. Cowboys 12-5. They're a wild card. I think this is going to be a great game, very close. I'm actually going to take the Bucks in this one. Yes, the Cowboys on paper are much better, but also in Week 18, facing the lifeless Commanders with their third-string quarterback, they lost 26-6. Dak was awful. He was very erratic. He threw for 128 yards, had an awful pick six, just one touchdown. The Dallas run game is struggling. Their pass rush is falling asleep. They got 1 sack in the last 4 games. Micah Parsons' company got to wake up. Dak Prescott led the league in picks with missing 5 games. He's not that good, to be honest. Tom Brady, although he's washed, is still Tom Brady. He's got every postseason record in the book. You got, yes, their offensive line is bad, but the Cowboys pass rush has been asleep for the last month. Dallas had trouble stopping the run. Tampa Bay can run the ball with Leonard Fournette and with Rachaad White. The Cowboys are cursed. They can't win a playoff game if you tried. Tom Brady's never lost to the Cowboys ever. He's 7-0 against the Cowboys. It's his best record against any team ever. They beat them 19-3 in the first game of the season. If I'm Tom Brady, I'm looking at this like, oh, so I'll be able to run the football and set up play action for some simple throws to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and my defense will be able to get pressure on Dak Prescott. The Cowboys' offensive line showing they've got some injuries and be able to force turnovers. Kind of looks like every playoff run he did in New England. So Tampa will get any further than this, but I am going to take the Bucs to beat the Cowboys. And my prediction, Mike McCarthy will be fired about 20 minutes after this game. And before I sign off, I got 2 announcements. One, there are some rumors that WWE has been sold to the Saudi Arabian government. Although the Saudi Arabian government is one of the companies, or whatever you want to call them, that is interested in buying WWE, and it is possible WWE, which is going to be sold probably in the next 3 to 6 months, so probably the next few months they will be sold. The sale is not complete. They have not been sold to the Saudi Arabian government. That report is false. On the Wear Canal, I know you got graphics with reports saying they've been sold to the Saudis. That report is false. It is not true. It has not happened yet. What would happen? It's possible. Hopefully it doesn't, because then WWE is screwed. I don't trust the Saudi Arabian government with anything, to be honest. But that report is false. It is not true. And one more thing. This is the next time I'm going to do this show is going to be on Tuesday. I go back to school and start classes that day. So this is actually the last episode of season 2 of Talkin Sports with Jake. Not sure if I'll make any changes for season 3. I'm still thinking those over. You guys will see on Tuesday whether or not the show is run differently or not. If any changes will be pretty minor. I like what I have going so far. I'll be back in the studio, so you won't have this really weird backdrop of just my kitchen and my living room. It'll be an actual studio again. I'm going to be doing this show Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Posted Monday through Wednesday. My class schedule is a little bit different, so I'll be doing it Tuesday through Friday, which is kind of good because now I can do it four days a week instead of 3. Just wanted to make that announcement. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.